Ryan Powell of I Run Far here with YiOu Wang before the 2019 Lake Sonoma 50 mile. How are you, YiOu?
I'm doing great. How are you?
What a I'm great. I just came from snowy Silverton and it is short sleeves and sunny and
welcome to Marin County, California. What can I say? It's our gorgeous bubble.
and a gorgeous bubble it is. Well, you've run Lake Sonoma 3 times before. DNF'd the first time when you were sort of still figuring out, I think, the 50-mile distance, and then you've won twice here. What brings you back?
I just love the race now.
Yeah?
So Lake Sonoma was on my schedule because it's a golden ticket race, and I wanted to get back into Western States for 2019. So 2018, I was out traveling the world and missed the race and also missed Western States. So one of my main goals for 2019 was to do Western States again. And Lake Sonoma being, I've had really good experiences there. In 2016 and 17, it was sort of at the top of my golden ticket race list. Yeah. But then I ended up doing Black Canyon and getting my ticket there, but was still registered for Lake Sonoma. So originally I wasn't planning at all to run Lake Sonoma anymore. Yeah. But then I kind of wanted to see how I felt after Black Canyon and how training was going to go after Black Canyon. And training's gone really well. I had, I think, a few weeks after Black Canyon where I just felt really flat and tired. But I think looking back on it, that was just race fatigue and sort of working through, all the damage done to your body after you push it for 100K. And talking to my coach this past week, we decided that we would do Lake Sonoma because I like the race so much. Yeah. But I'm training through it. So I'm not tapering. This is going to be like a really high mileage week, and we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how, okay.
Because there's a couple of things that I wanted to practice during Lake Sonoma in preparation for Western States.
And what's that?
I want to practice not having crew. So I'm going to do the race without a crew. Okay. I wanted to also get in a really honest long run, and being the highly competitive field that it is, it's going to be fast and furious and hard. And I'll be forced to run a lot harder than I would, do so on my own. And there are just some nutrition things that I want to work on ahead of Western States. It's also going to be a sunny and warm day. And as you and probably other people watching this video know, I have struggled in the past with heat. Yeah. And Western States, no matter how much snow is going to be on the course, is always going to be hot. So that's something that I still have to work on. And I want to fine-tune some electrolyte and nutrition strategies just in a race setting.
Yeah, I mean, you're going in, as you mentioned, a more intense effort than you would on your own doing a really long training run. So, and that changes how well your body can process
exactly, because
the fuel.
If I were to go out on like a 50K training run on my own, I would stop and take my time and not really be in a true high pressure race mindset. And even though going into Lake Sonoma, it's not an A race this year, so I'll be tired. I'll have tired legs going into it. It's going to be challenging for me in a different way. Like, I like to race.
Yeah, you're not the person who's going to be like, oh, this isn't my A race, I'm just going to jog through it.
I don't jog any race, but I will definitely go into this race probably more tired than I would if it was an A race. But that's going to force me to be tough and gritty in a different way. Yeah. Which is something that I'll have to be in the second half of Western States, right? I'll be tired, but I'll still have to be in a race mindset. And, some of the things that have bitten me in the past is I get so into racing that I forget about the nutrition and the hydration and the electrolytes. And then, an hour or two later, that comes to haunt me. Yeah. And so on Saturday, I will really be paying attention to those things, no matter where I am in the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, now that you has the context of this race changed for you now that you do have an entry into Western states? Can you be, maybe be a little more aggressive or push it a little bit more than if your goal was to get a golden ticket?
Yeah, I think I will probably take more risk in some parts of the race than I have in the past versus like, oh, I need to solidify my position, make sure I can make it. Maybe I do want to try and see how hard or how far I can push, and not have it be so much of like I have to maintain my position and get a golden ticket. Like I can experiment with race strategies and see where are places where I might not feel great, but I can still push the effort and see how that plays out.
Maybe there's some extra percent you can get out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you think you can improve upon your past times or whatever on the Sonoma course?
I haven't seen what conditions the trails are in right now. I think the first year I ran it, the trail conditions were really good, and then the second year it was a bit sloppier, and I feel like the whole course was slower. And the weather, I think, is going to be similar this year to 2016. It might actually be warmer this year. So I think combination of it's been very stormy and rainy the past winter in Marin. And from reports, it looks like the water crossings aren't too bad, but some parts of the trails are very mucky.
Okay.
And it will dry out a lot this week because we have a few days of sun going into Saturday, but there are low spots in the trails where mountain bikers come through. There's a lot of wild pigs up in the Lake Sonoma area that just churn everything up. So I don't know how fast the course is going to run this year. I think it's going to be tougher conditions in general because of how wet it's been.
So it might not be the fastest course, but
it might not be the fastest course this year, but you never know.
So Black Canyon, was that a good day for you?
I felt like that was a really good day for me. I was really happy with it. I think that I tend to be really hard on myself in terms of race results, and I think one of the things that I wanted to be conscious of coming back from my trip and my time away from racing is just to appreciate how every race plays out in its own context. It's not, oh, you didn't win, therefore it's not a successful day, or you could have run faster, or, regretting all those things about the race. And it's more of celebrating, like, I had a plantar flare up like a month before the race, which made me not be able to train for 3 weeks. I had other difficulties in traveling, getting to the race. It was like a really long day. And then I had never done a 100K race successfully. I think I'd started 100K before Black Canyon and DNF'd. 100K is the distance where I fell apart in Western States in 2017. So there were all of these things that I conquered at Black Canyon that I should be proud of, and that I should just celebrate for myself as having achieved and as having conquered. So I think I'm just super happy with Black Canyon in general.
Nice.
Meeting my goal of getting the golden ticket and then putting together the performance that I did, given, hiccup in training and all of these other things.
And the fact that you've taken a new approach to appreciating a race. Like, that's important.
Yeah,
probably.
I think one of the things that I really learned on my travels is that we need to just be so appreciative of all of the opportunities and the great fortune that we have. I mean, running is a gift. Racing is a gift. Like, being able to run as a choice is a gift. Like, seeing people who are living in extremely tough conditions, in conditions of extreme poverty, who don't have the opportunities that we have growing up in Western developed countries, I think really changed my perspective about running and about racing. In one way, it's made it less important. So I've become more relaxed about it, almost.
Nice. So, I mean, we've talked about, I mean, you've mentioned a couple times, and I had it on my list of things to talk to you about, this trip. Tell me a little bit about this world trip that you took. And that took you out of the kind of the race season for a year.
Right. So my husband and I were given an opportunity to work for a family, to travel around the world for them, teaching their 2 kids. And we left August of 2017 and then traveled through 30 countries in 10 months. And we went everywhere. So all over Asia, South America, Africa, Australia. And we went to places that were very modern, like huge, metropolitan cities, Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo. And then we went to places that were very undeveloped. We went to rural Africa. We went to Myanmar. We went to, tiny villages that didn't have electricity or running water. So we saw a whole breadth and diversity of cultures and experiences and ways of life.
And
And it makes you really think about how you live your own life, first of all, and how your life can impact other people. And so I think I went through this whole period right after the trip where I thought, man, I do probably the most selfish thing in the world, which is be like a professional runner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about me with the training and the racing.
And the travel.
And the travel. And I'm like, thinking about my carbon imprint and thinking about like, how do I actually influence and help the planet, the community, the world, other people? How can I do that as a runner? Like, that's really a difficult thing.
So how do you answer that?
So I'm still teaching. So one of the things that you have like a giant mosquito.
Oh yeah, they're biting me.
Yeah. So one of the things that spoke to me was how important education is. Education, and also providing kids opportunities to use that education. And so in a lot of places, especially in Africa, we saw a lot of very good-hearted initiatives to bring running water, electricity, and education to rural villages or tribes people, but then there was no follow-through afterwards.
So they could be a healthy, literate teenager, but then what? Yeah.
Where do they go? What do they do with that? And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is, how do you have a bigger impact on a community through education, but also providing them opportunities to do something with that education? So I still, haven't started my NGO or anything.
You haven't started some micro lending organization?
No, but that might be in the pipeline. But I think another thing that I noticed was how people respond to running. It is this like crazy thing that we do for ourselves, but it also brings people together, and it also speaks to communities. Like we ran for example, in Ethiopia. If you are a person running around, everyone wants to talk to you, everyone wants to run with you, everyone wants to meet you and to get to know you. So I think there's an opportunity there for me to use running sort of as an ambassadorship almost. And there are a lot of organizations that I've noticed recently are taking that route. There's Girls Gotta Run, which does great work in Ethiopia. I actually look up to Claire Gallagher's work a lot, with how she's been able to connect her running with saving the planet.
Yeah, more environmental activism.
Yeah, environmental
You're looking at thinking
activism.
more about the human aspect.
Well, I think we saw a lot of environmental degradation all around the world. Glaciers receding, deforestation, desertification. And I think I felt at the end of the trip, taking all those pieces and putting them together, it's really, it's human caused, but at the front lines, it's people that are just desperately trying to survive, to make a living. Like, they're not purposefully trying to turn all of the savannah into desert.
No,
they're just trying to
have dinner,
feed themselves by grazing their animals on this land.
And if you provide, I mean, I think economic world history shows that as you increase income and standard of living, the care of the individual's care for and ability to improve the environment goes up.
Yeah.
And to a certain point, like there's more and more pollution, and then it goes down again as you increase income.
And it's very hypocritical of us who live here to say, oh, you people in Africa shouldn't cut down your forests, or you shouldn't overgraze your land.
We did that here.
We did that
that's how we got
years ago. And now our forests are starting to grow back because, we're not subsistence farmers anymore, right? But a lot of people in the world are still subsistence farmers, and until they have the same education and the opportunities to, raise themselves up economically, that's just what they're going to do.
Yeah, you can't have an expectation to not survive first. So.
Yeah.
Wow, that took a fun turn, as I would hope and expect. That was great, YiOu.
Yeah. So I think, in summary, going into the rest of my racing career, whether it's 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, I think I just have a broader perspective on what running means to me and how I want to use running to, help other people and save the planet eventually. We need to save the planet.
Well, good luck in your race on Saturday and in saving the planet.